Welcome back to Adulthood Friends. This is the discussion-based podcast where two former childhood acquaintances, now friends, discuss the things that... Adverb, Josh?
You give an adverb this time, Maya.
I'll give an adverb. Safely.
I was just gonna... Oh my God.
Really?
I was looking at safe spaces.
Yeah,
just
me
like
too.
You were.
That's so nice. Yeah, the look on your face is very satisfying for me. That's how I know I picked the right adverb.
Safely matter. That's your adverb of the week.
And I'm Aya.
I'm Josh.
And today we've got episode 42, and we're continuing our discussion on cancel culture. Does it exist? What is it? Is it warranted? And are we all just a bunch of cornflakes?
Cornflakes, not snowflakes.
I'm just sticking to that. I'm going to double down on cornflakes.
I think you should make this a thing for the future.
Are we cornflakes? Yeah. You know what's funny? Okay, this is so unrelated, but in Hebrew, like when I would go to Israel as a kid, I wanted cereal because I loved cereal. I still do. So I'd be like, "Where do you have cereal?" And they're like, "We don't know what that is." They're like, "Oh, you mean cornflakes?" I'm like, "Not specifically cornflakes, but it's one of those things where they call all cereal cornflakes, whatever kind of cereal it is." So I don't know.
It's like those places that call all soda Coke.
Exactly, even if it's Sprite. Yeah. Exactly like that. Yeah. So anyways, that was unnecessary and I shouldn't have done that at the beginning of the podcast.
No, I love that. But let's get into it. Oh, so good to be back.
Sure is, Josh. I'm just going to lean into that annoying thing that you say every time and not be irritated by it.
If you're really going to lean into it, you shouldn't have said anything else after. It sure is.
Fine. Next time I'll do that. Episode 43. Look forward to me just leaning into the irritating things Josh says.
Yeah, unless we get canceled before episode 43.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Josh, because that's what we left off with last
we did.
Class. I almost said last class.
Yeah, you are a teacher, Dr. Ishai.
Yeah.
Teach us about cancel culture. Oh, by the way, episode 42, isn't 42 like the answer to everything or something?
Yeah, according to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, 42 is like, the answer to everything. So it's kind of a fun number.
I've never even watched or read the book.
You didn't watch the book? Oh my God.
I've never watched the movie or read the book, but even I know that 42 is the answer to everything.
That's funny. Well, you are in nerd circles, like you still know that whether or not you've read it.
Yeah, right now I'm in a nerd circle of two.
Isn't Stargate like StarCraft or something your favorite?
Wow, you confuse Stargate and StarCraft on purpose, mind you, which is even...
I don't even know what StarCraft is.
You don't know StarCraft? It's a fantastic... It's a game.
I was kind of putting together different things. Oh, it's like Warhammer.
No, it's like Warcraft.
So many words with craft.
Well, I guess in some ways it's probably like Warhammer, but Warcraft and StarCraft.
Okay.
Stargate's a show.
I'm nerd adjacent. I mean, I am a nerd, but I'm like nerd adjacent in some ways in relation to things like Warhammer. Where
you're like someone who'll watch Game of Thrones, but really, really late.
No, I have a thing. It's actually kind of a problem where like I will refuse to watch something that everyone's going crazy about because I'm like, no. Just because everyone's telling me to do something, it makes me not. But like sometimes I'm missing out. Like I think Game of Thrones was very worthwhile. But like, for example, I remember you insisting that I watch Squid Game earlier this year.
Oh yeah, Squid Game.
Not earlier this year, like a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you were like, it's part of a cultural movement.
You should watch it with Joel.
He watched it. I didn't. Oh man, we started watching a movie this weekend. Have you ever I'm giving you information about myself, Josh. Look, ask how I am. I'm offering up information.
Good, even better.
You want it.
Although I want to know whether or not you're going to watch Squid Game.
Yeah, I'll think about it. It's very violent, I hear. I'm not like it depends on the violence.
You just watched Game of Thrones. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and sometimes I had to be like, when is it over? Like for certain violent things, unless I hated the person and then I wanted to see horrible things happen to them.
So you're definitely violent. You just want violence to happen to specific people.
Yeah. Is that a bad, we should talk about that one day because I feel like there's something wrong with that I can like dehumanize someone to the point where I want to see horrible things happen to them, but that doesn't occur with most people. But
wow, that's you're gonna get canceled for that. Okay.
Probably. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, we started watching a movie called The Last Duel.
Oh, don't tell me anything about it because I'm gonna watch it.
I won't tell you anything about it. I only watched 20 minutes of it, but 10 minutes in, I just turned to Joel and I was like, I hate this movie so much.
Oh, really? I heard it should have been nominated at the Oscars because I hear some people said it was their favorite movie of the year.
Don't judge it based on me. There were just certain things that annoyed me. If you watch it, we can talk about it. I don't want to spoil anything for you. I do not want to incur the wrath of Josh re-spoilers. I think we all learned that's I feel like I already spoil something by telling you that I hated the first 10 minutes of it?
Nope. No, you didn't spoil anything.
Because I hate a lot of stuff, so that means nothing.
I told you, if you want to say whether you like something or not, that's fine.
Yeah, I gave you no details, but watch it so that we can discuss the first 10 minutes.
Okay.
No, I watched, and then I watched another 10 minutes, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad.
Oh, Ridley Scott.
About that. I have a hard time watching movies sometimes. Anyways, that was so off topic, Josh.
No, it's good. It was an intro to our second part. What do you mean? I'm fine.
Oh, we did like a switcheroo. I offered up unsolicited information.
It's good. The less I talk about myself right now, the more we can jump right back into cancel culture. Everyone's dying to know.
Okay, let's do it. Let's jump back in.
What are they dying to know? I don't know.
Whether or not you fear being canceled.
Do I fear being canceled?
Well, it's a leading question.
It is, because I think I've told you before that I totally fear being canceled.
You have told me that you fear being canceled, and I just want you to expand on that. Josh, this is a safe space, Josh, and I just want you to share what it is about cancel culture that puts fear in your cis male heterosexual white guy heart.
Wow.
Whatever all the things are.
That actually is one of the things. But also, okay, so cancel culture happens in the court of public opinion. And I am getting into my line of work is court of public opinion. Like, I make movies. I make art for all to see and be judged and people to enjoy. Yeah, that puts me in a position where, like, for all I know, someone's going to dig up this podcast one day.
Oh yeah.
And find something I said. And that's if I'm lucky enough to be, I don't know, successful in such a way that someone would even want to dig up these podcasts, but I want to be that successful. So then naturally I have that fear. Not this podcast necessarily, but
yeah,
I'll give you an example. I've said things here and there. Like, I'm pretty sure I did this old TV show called We Eat Films. Remember that? There was like an episode where we were reviewing the movie Bridesmaids.
Great movie.
And I kind of had a character like within the show. So it's kind of hard to explain, where I was myself, but I was like a version of myself.
Yeah, it's like how I'm a meaner version of myself on this show.
Sure, I am. And so my argument, because, I was contrasting with the other reviewer, was that usually women weren't funny.
You said that in your life, Josh?
I said that on the show.
And there's a recording of that.
There's a recording. And the whole joke of that, by the way, was I go on about how women aren't funny, but Bridesmaids really is. So I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know why women aren't funny. They just aren't. I don't know. At the time, probably not even funny.
I'm sure it was hilarious at the time.
I'm sure it wasn't. But the part of it that was funny is at the end of it, because as I'm saying this, my co-reviewer, Sean, is sitting there going, like, mouth open,
like looking shocked.
Looking shocked as I keep saying more and more egregious things, and I keep like digging myself a hole. I like worried about what my girlfriend would think. And then there was, at the time, my girlfriend, like, it like cut me out.
Who was your girlfriend at the time?
Connie. Anyway, so she did this like gag for us where basically I like got like zapped out of there, and then she was in my spot and she's like, "Hi, I am Josh's girlfriend and I do not approve of this message."
I think anyone who sees that in context, it would be very clear that that's not
in context. You really think that context matters?
Except I have to tell you, Josh, I'm really tempted to cancel you right now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I think I'd like to just press that little cancel button.
Why?
Just because you even deign to, even in context or out of context, you cannot say that women aren't funny. No,
that's of
now
course.
I'm just being ridiculous. I'm being facetious. I'm just kidding.
Are you saying that you're funny, Aya?
I'm not saying I'm funny. I'm saying women are funny.
Aya, like most women aren't funny, but you are like the exception.
Oh, fuck you. My God.
For the record, I think women can be just as funny or not as men.
Oh, can we? Oh, thanks, Josh.
I had to say it.
Like we needed your permission.
No, I needed to say it for the record.
I'm just giving you a hard time now.
So if someone ever has to dig this up.
You want on the record that you think women are potentially maybe capable sometimes of being as funny as men.
I've clearly never laughed at anything you've said on this podcast, right? Didn't I laugh at your woke joke last time?
You did. Yeah, you sure did.
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
Okay. Proof.
Now no one can ever
that
say
you're a feminist. No, we have that feminist episode where you talk about how much you're a feminist and all of that stuff.
This is like the equivalent of like, I have a black friend. I can't be racist.
It's exactly that. I know this girl who I think is really funny. Like she's like the funniest person I've ever met, because that's what you say about me behind my back, right?
Exactly. I'm like, I think women are funny. There's Aya. Aya's a woman.
And that's it. As far as you know.
Yeah.
Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. All right, next.
Do you need to find safe spaces? What's up with safe spaces?
I don't want to define it. It's pretty clear from the, oh yeah, no, actually I do. I have the definition ready.
Okay, before you even say that, you're asking me whether I fear being canceled, just to wrap that up.
Yeah, fucking answer, man.
I do fear being canceled, obviously.
Good, you should. Live in fear. Live in fear. No.
Yeah, but whether or not I think it's ever going to happen, because we all make mistakes. And I do worry that I guess we all start to think like we watch people now get caught on their mistakes, whether they're okay or not, and it having major consequences.
Do you see people who get canceled for things that you would do though? Like
kind of, not really. Well, here's the thing. I do have a really dark sense of humor, for example.
Yeah.
And not just dark. Like I like to say the wrong thing on purpose in context, like as a meta joke with my friends sometimes.
It's one of my favorite Josh traits.
Yeah, but I might even go further than what I do with you, for example. Like some of my friends, the jokes we make, we all know what we think. So therefore, we say it because it's shocking and wrong, knowing that it's wrong. That's the context between us. But that context would never be understood or assumed elsewhere.
Right.
And some people argue you should just never say certain things. I disagree.
I disagree with that.
Context matters always. That being said, I don't ever say the N-word or anything like that. But my sensibilities skew towards like sometimes pushing boundaries. I have movies and plays that I started out doing this by pushing boundaries. And what happens when you do that is you're taking a risk, and sometimes you might push too far. You might do or say something to get a response, and you get a response, but it's not the one you were hoping for.
Right. Would you like to proactively apologize for anything that you might have said?
I apologize for everything I've said or will say in the future. I know some people think intention doesn't matter, but I really hope it does.
We have a whole episode about when it does.
We have an episode about intention versus action. Please refer to all of these episodes, not just one, but all of the episodes to get the full context.
Now I understand the real drive behind this podcast for you, Josh.
Oh, this whole podcast. Yeah. Wasn't it your idea to do this podcast?
It was my idea, but I never would have followed through.
We have to do an episode on follow through. Anyway.
Yes.
Before I even get to your safe space.
Yeah. My safe space question now. It was your safe space question.
My question. But what about you? You're basically a professor at a university, just like Bryan Cranston in Power of Sale.
I mean, I'm not, because I don't have any kind of, I'm like a contract thing that will probably not be renewed. But yeah, so who knows? But
you're going to be either a university or high school teacher.
I want to be a teacher. Yeah.
Either way.
No, that's a good question.
Like that happens to people in that position.
Yeah. So actually, it's kind of interesting because before we did our abortion episode, I had a good friend who was
we did our abortion episode.
Before we had an abortion, what do we have? Like a joint abortion?
Joint abortion. We aborted one episode. We had an episode on criminal behavior.
Oh yeah, we did.
No one ever listened to.
Well, it had problems. That was the
no. It had not anything in there that you would cancel us about. I mean, it had technical problems.
No, it had technical problems, and then we were like, let's re-record it, and then we were like,
And we never did.
We already did it. Let's not. No. So before we recorded our abortion episode, I was talking to a good friend about it, and she was like, you shouldn't do that. Like, you shouldn't do an episode on abortion. You want to be a high school teacher in like the public school system. You don't want anything like that out there about you. And like, I actually went into the abortion episode a little bit kind of worried about something that I might say because it's such a divisive issue. Eventually I got over that. So I was like, who's going to listen to a whole episode of me talking about this?
That's never a reason to do something, actually. You should do something because you believe in...
And also, okay, wait, there were two parts to it. Shut up, Josh. Don't tell me why I do things.
Sorry, I just meant to say, like, what if we do get... I don't know. Anyway.
No, you're right. So there were two parts to that. One was, what are the chances that they're going to listen to it? That's not a good enough reason. The real reason is I believe in this. And if that's the reason that I don't get a job, that's a worthwhile reason.
Yeah.
If it's so like, I'm not saying anything wrong. I think I'm just sharing my own personal beliefs. I think we do it in an okay, like in a sensitive to other people's opinions. And no matter how misguided they may be, we try to apply empathy to everyone's opinions. And I think that I'm allowed to express myself. That said, yeah, I do sometimes wonder, like, what if I say this thing and someone hears it and like, they take it out of context and they think I'm this kind of person. It's not even like I'm afraid that something is going to happen. I mean, I'm not pursuing any kind of like public, what do you call filmmaking, like a public thing.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like public opinion is very important to you.
I mean, working in a school is kind of public, especially if it's a public school.
Yeah, like I do worry sometimes that my students will listen to this and they'll be like, I don't like them.
Well, it's interesting. You already said, I asked you if you fear, but like you in some ways more so than me, especially with that.
I'm very sensory of myself sometimes. Like I'll be like, Josh, I don't want you to, can you delete that thing that I said? It's too crazy. Like, because I say things without thinking.
Yeah, you fear being canceled by your family, first and foremost.
I fear being reprimanded by my family or guilted by my mother.
Held to accountability?
Well, it's not accountability. If someone's like, if my mom hears it and she's like, I don't like it when you say this thing, then I just feel bad. Or I'm like, oh, sorry. Like, I just don't want to have to deal with that. So I just avoid.
You don't want them to call you out?
I don't like it when they call me out because then I feel bad. I don't want to feel bad and nobody wants to feel bad. So like,
or start a fight, I guess, if you disagree.
Or start a fight. Yeah. So it's just like, let's just not talk about that. Like I just told her, don't listen to the politics and religion episode. But like we sprinkle that stuff in everywhere. So
it's interesting. I have this fear, but I think the reason I have it is because I don't know if I'm strong enough to censor myself if I really believe something, if I think I'm right, or if I think it's worth saying or doing. I will make a joke or I will put an opinion out there. I'll do my best to do all these things in the best possible way.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, I don't like censoring myself, and then I fear the consequences, but not enough to not do it.
Right.
I kind of hope for the best, but then I just live with an anxiety.
I mean, we make our choices in life. That's the choice you've made. I think I respect that. And I think I try to, it was just like the abortion. Like I felt that anxiety the entire time, but I kind of pushed through it and still wanted to share what I think. Even though it's not like a surprise to anyone.
It was just like the abortion.
Just like the abortion.
I felt the anxiety the whole time, but I just wanted to push through it.
Oh my God. I said it's just like the abortion episode.
You actually didn't say episode right there, which is funny.
I didn't. No.
Kind of you said and assumed the rest of the word.
Just like that abortion that I had. I didn't. See, now I feel like, oh my God, I have to clarify. Well, I don't have to clarify anything. Nobody's business. Okay.
What if our society went down that path instead and suddenly having pro-choice views was the thing that got you in trouble?
Well, so my friend was also saying like, what if you wanted to work in the Catholic school system? I was like, I'm actually not allowed. Like you need to be a Catholic to be a teacher there.
Really?
So that's not. Yeah.
We had non-Jewish teachers at our Jewish school.
Yeah. Because they're just more progressive than the Catholic school board. The Catholic school board shouldn't exist. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, wait a second. They're publicly funded and they don't allow that?
Yes. You have to have, so students can go, like students of any faith can go, as we know. Didn't we go? Yeah. But teachers have to have like some kind of something from what are they, like bishop? No, I don't know. Whatever, like the people.
Christian thing.
Like pastor? No, what is it in Catholicism? Priest? I don't know. Someone in the Catholic people have to like vouch for like, oh yeah, they're good. They're practicing Catholic. They got a little man on a little cross on their chest.
Oh my God.
Dude.
Oh, what?
Did you not like my impression of Jesus there?
I just love that you're like, this is the episode where I get canceled now. Okay.
Let's see.
We're all feeling safe. You and I, by the way, let's get to the safe space thing later.
Is this a safe space? Yeah.
Because you're holding out on that definition. But let's be honest, our views, thankfully, this liberal type of view, like I believe it's the right view. I don't like this whole like the liberal versus.
Although we have some, I don't know that our views are always.
No, they're not.
We're not always towing the liberal line. Like what I just said about Louis C.K. last episode.
No, it's not. But that's what I'm saying. Towing the liberal line is, let's say Hollywood does skew liberal, for example, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these systems skew liberal. Why? I think because education skews liberal, if you ask me. Like, the more educated you are, people tend to skew liberal because it involves more empathy, in my opinion.
Although the right would say that, I know you're in the middle of a thought, so I won't.
Again, it's weird. At some points I might be speaking as if I were someone looking from the outside in.
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't consider themselves a liberal.
Yeah.
They see it as, okay, there's liberals and conservatives, these two equal views, or I don't know. I don't think they're necessarily equal.
I don't think everything should be so clear cut. I
also don't think liberal and conservatism is even clear what that is, because some people think they're conservative, but they're freaking Nazi. And some people think they're a liberal, but they're just like a dumb anti-vax Southern California hippie surfer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I offended so many people by saying that.
Josh, oh my God.
If you think it's you, it's not. Okay, don't worry. Yeah. I think that it's kind of generally considered to be that you can have more liberal leaning views and feel safe. You can argue and be pro-choice and feel safe. But if you argue the other side, it'd be a lot more risky at least in certain spheres.
That's true. Like if I went into the university and like argued quote unquote pro-life views, or if I liked Trump for whatever reason, that would be an issue. Like that would be so you were going somewhere with that, but that's just my example. Yeah.
No, that's exactly it. And now, of course, because we think that, we're like, that's right. The other side is not.
Right. But it does ostracize that whole, like it makes it so that higher education is seen as like, oh, that's it's all liberal. I'm not even allowed to share my opinion as a conservative.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think some of those opinions are not equal, if you ask me. I mean, it's kind of like tolerating intolerance in some of those cases. But that aside, there's that case of, I don't know if you know Gina Carano.
I do not.
She was like a female like UFC fighter. But Gina Carano was acting on The Mandalorian. Now, personally, I think she was like the weakest actress in the whole show. But I mean, her character was liked by a lot of people, and she had an interesting character. And she looked the part. She's like a tough, like physically imposing person. She's really cool in that regard. Yeah. So Disney was frustrated with her because she was tweeting a bunch of stuff, putting on social media, like kind of anti-vaccine sentiment. But I think the straw that kind of broke the camel's back was, she mocked mask wearing during the pandemic. And then she also falsely suggested voter fraud during the 2020 presidential election. So she's done a bunch of things. She put stuff out there. Now, these are views held by a lot of people. They're wrong, but these are views held by a lot of people.
Misguided is the word.
Misguided,
Josh.
But for all intents and purposes, she's apparently was very friendly. People got along with her on set. But by posting this stuff publicly on Twitter or whatever, I don't know if fired is the right word. They didn't renew her contract for another season.
Cancel her.
They basically canceled her. Yeah. Right? And now she's gone, like, I think she's making a movie with the Daily Wire, the right-wing Ben Shapiro's like thing. And she's like a darling of the right wing right now. Honestly, I think it made it so much worse. The idea that the big, powerful, liberal elite Disney, it's funny that, Disney is this liberal elite when they were these guys were also like,
they used to be Nazis.
Walt Disney, wasn't he like an anti-Semite? Like, they were Nazis.
Was, yeah.
And it's not like I have all this love for Disney or anything, by the way. I think these companies are it's true. They're kind of going with the flow of society. Personally, I think they jumped the gun on this. Like, you could be wrong about something. You can really disagree. You could even think some of the stuff they put out there is damaging. But what message are you sending in that? You're like, we don't want her to be a part of our show because of stuff she's like, basically in her private life. Yeah, she's a representative of the show in a way. But now she's a darling of the other side because of this. And they're like, look, she's making her point. And honestly, she is making that point, about cancel culture, if you ask me. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's problematic it was kind of like, so last episode, we talked a lot about Joe Rogan. I think if he were canceled, it would have kind of spurred the movement even more to like, look at cancel culture, look at Joe Rogan being canceled.
He was in some way though. He didn't get his podcast, but he had over 70 or even more episodes pulled from Spotify. I mean, maybe for other reasons.
But that's, well, that's something else. I think completely like cutting someone off or firing them, like in the case of,
well, they canceled those episodes, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, okay, I guess.
And like, people are being told to pull out left and right from Spotify.
On the spectrum of being canceled, he was mildly canceled. That's true. Okay.
I'm not saying he was. That's the whole thing. The idea that you're canceled.
I'm saying it could have been worse.
I'm saying they tried and they're trying to. It's attempted canceling.
And they kind of did that with that actress, it sounds like. Yeah. Okay. Right. It's not over yet.
But with this actress, they canceled that role. She's not canceled for being an actress. Like like I said, she's acting in some other right-wing movie. And they say, look, she's not canceled. No, we're talking about cancel culture in the sense that they're trying to keep her from...
Yeah, I think that's problematic because as much as I disagree with her views, I don't think that having those views should be a reason to not be in a film that has, one, nothing to do with those things. And two, it doesn't sound like she was doing... Like she wasn't refusing to wear a mask on set, or like, what was she was she doing things, or was it she just saying things?
That's not what I heard about. I didn't hear that would be different. If you had a policy to wear masks on set and you refused to take care of everybody, that would be a different thing. That's not about having views. That's about, not upholding policy or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So another example that came to mind while we were talking about, so when you were saying that you don't think that you'd be able to stop saying something if you thought it was true, if it's really what you believed, that I think connects pretty well to, and we've talked about her before, but J.K. Rowling and what she did, which I disagree with, like her anti-trans sentiments that she shared very vocally and in a letter. And I read the letter. What? Why are you making that face?
Nothing. It's just... never mind.
What?
No, I have nothing.
You had a way to go into it?
No, I didn't. I still struggle to gather my thoughts on this subject.
Oh, okay.
Correctly, because also, not just that, I think if I say the wrong thing, because this is very much a thing right now. If I say the wrong thing now, that could actually get me trouble. And the worst part of it is I don't fully know my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and we don't have to go too far into it, but I just wanted to mention her because when you said, like, I don't know that I'd be able to stop myself from saying what I really think. And just like I did with the abortion episode, is I decided that what I believe, sharing my belief is more important than worrying about what the backlash could be. And even though that was very theoretical and nothing happened and nobody cares in my case. But for someone like J.K. Rowling, a lot of people care and there is backlash and it is offensive and hurtful to a lot of people. And I disagree with the things that she says and that she kind of doubled down on that instead of apologizing for hurting people's feelings. I think that's ridiculous. I do think that if we look at it from her point of view, I think she genuinely believes that she's saying, she's sharing what she really, really believes. And it comes from, it's not just, it doesn't mean that there's any, she's still misguided and I think incorrect.
She's standing up for, in her mind, places and spaces for women to feel safe as women in society.
Exactly.
So and that we fought so long for women to have that. And she sees something, to her, this is
she feels she needs to
potential threat to that.
That's right. Yeah.
Aspects of this. Yeah.
Again, not something I agree with, but it's hard. Like you, I don't know if I think that she should, I think it would be a lot better if she recognized that it's not worth hurting people's feelings to say these things, even if she believes them. But I think there is more nuance, that whole issue of when can you share your opinion on something if it might hurt someone.
Well, people will argue that she totally could share her opinion. And now this is just the free market doing its thing, right? That's like that article I read.
Yeah.
Was she canceled? So
she was canceled in some sense. Let me see.
That's the question I'm asking, is a lot of people say, no, she didn't get canceled. She's still selling books.
Yeah.
She's not in jail.
So according to the New York Post in 2021, August 31st, 2021, there's an article talking about different people getting canceled. What is cancel culture? And Rowling is one of the listed people there. And it says, I'm just going to read this. So, quote, "She's no stranger to controversy. The infamous author." Also, I wouldn't call her an infamous author. She's still
that's not nice already, right?
That's already kind of intense, but yeah.
She's famous, but infamous
she's
is
pretty famous. Yeah.
Judgmental right in the article.
She's not. So I actually would argue she's not infamous because she's not famous for doing bad things. She was already famous.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now she has some issues. Infamous is you're famous for doing horrible things, like a serial killer. That's an extreme example, but yeah. So the quote unquote infamous author has been canceled multiple times over the years, specifically for negative comments about people identifying as transgender. Earlier this year, a Harry Potter themed segment at a book festival was canceled due to Rowling's insensitive remarks online, the latest in her cancel culture controversy. So now I don't really know if I should even trust this article, but it sounds like a Harry Potter themed something was canceled.
Oh, there's more than that.
She still had her.
She recently.
There's more.
I think a school that named something after her recently renamed themselves.
Oh, okay. A lot more has.
There's a lot more, so that's canceling in a sense. And then she also didn't, for whatever reason, she didn't appear as part of the. It was like a 20-year. Is it 10 or 20-year anniversary of Harry Potter? And they had a whole thing. It was a whole show where all the actors came back. Everybody came back, but guess who was missing?
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't see this?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling wasn't part of her own. She's the one who created Harry Potter. And all they did was show a couple snippets of her in passing in this hours-long special. It was a special.
I didn't watch that.
I didn't watch it. I saw clips.
So in some ways, she has been canceled. That said, I'm currently reading a book by Robert Galbraith, which is actually her pen name. Yeah, so which is her. And it came out after, I believe it came out.
Wait a second.
I'm not sure about
Robert Galbraith?
Yeah.
Would you say that she does seem to support changing her gender in some ways?
Oh my god, that's great. I feel nobody's ever pointed that out. It also kind of annoyed me that she picked a male pseudonym.
Also, J.K. Rowling, she went with J.K. because she had felt,
well, that's more like a publisher choice.
Well, no, they felt that if she sounded too female, and that might be the case, that it would sell less or something.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so Troubled Blood was published in 2020, so it was after already after controversy had come out. So that still got published. I'm still reading it.
No, she's still getting stuff done. She wasn't fully canceled.
But
that's the idea
exactly.
too. It's
But
still a
like we
culture
said,
that
there's
exists,
not-
right?
Yeah.
Things are definitely different for her.
For sure. Oh, 100%.
Moving forward. And she's not being, she's not part of things. And again, it's not a legal thing. It's a culture thing.
It's a shaming.
It's a shaming. People are feeling ashamed of.
It's like they used to excommunicate people.
I mean, there's a lot of people who are saying, I can't read the books now. And that's fair. If you feel personally like this hurt you and you can't, it's affecting your enjoyment and stuff like that's sure. Of course. And that sucks.
That sucks though. Like it does taint it. Sometimes I look for like things for beliefs in the, like while I'm reading, I'm like, oh, is that showing her like, closed mind or some kind of what we would consider kind of an unacceptable belief or a hurtful belief about people.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it has tainted some readings of things, but I'm still reading her books. So I don't know.
That's the thing. So this is like my belief. Not everyone shares this, but I really look for malicious intent if I think that somebody deserves to be quote unquote canceled. And I mean, when I mean cancel, I mean like we shouldn't have them around. Like if you rape somebody like Bill Cosby or Kevin Spacey, the stuff he did, it's understandable given to people like, I don't want to work with this person again, given what they did. Sure. And people can choose not to work with someone if they don't agree with their views. That's also fair. But J.K. Rowling's intent, ignorant or not, again, and people can even be hurt by this. It doesn't strike me as malicious intent. And I think that's like a big difference. Like, I'll give you another example that maybe is more because I'm not trans, right? It's like almost not fair for me to say that.
Right.
Whoopi Goldberg. Did you hear about that recently?
I did. Yeah.
Right. So Whoopi Goldberg on The View was in a debate about what? I don't think they were debating. They were debating the Holocaust.
They mentioned the Holocaust.
They mentioned it. It was about something else.
I don't know if it was the debate.
Yeah. She basically said that, well, the Holocaust wasn't about race. It was about man's inhumanity to man. Okay. It was also about man's inhumanity to man. But in my opinion and many others, she was very wrong about that because the Holocaust was about race in the sense that the Nazis considered Jews and others to be an inferior race. They considered themselves this superior Aryan race. To them, it was all about race. And I get it. Where she might be coming from is what race means to her, and especially what race is nowadays. And the discussion on race isn't really that, especially because nowadays a lot of people don't consider Jews another race. Personally, I have trouble considering anybody a different race. That's a word that we're continually using to describe people or ourselves.
You don't see color?
I see color. I see ethnicity. I see culture. I see religion. But race is socially made up, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And the truth is, just like the Nazis, somebody else calls somebody else another race. So then people are forced to own that in a sense, right? That division has been made. That's a whole other talk. I don't know if we ever talk about race, but okay, she was wrong, in my opinion, and many others.
Yeah.
Right. And she was corrected.
And she apologized immediately.
And she apologized and she said, I stand corrected. She shared the quote of the person correcting her and said, I stand corrected. Okay. Was Whoopi Goldberg canceled? No, but this was in the news cycle like a lot. People were talking about it all day, like she's anti-Semitic.
Also, like,
and they suspended her.
Yeah, that was the headline.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I don't think that shows she's anti-Semitic. I think it means that she didn't understand what she was saying.
It's ignorance, right? Yeah, she was suspended for 2 weeks.
She was trying to make a point that then...
Yeah, which is ridiculous to me. Again, whether or not you like The View, I remember when they had like Bernie Sanders, they were talking about Bernie Sanders and they were just shitting on him the whole time.
Oh, really?
I really got upset at everybody on The View because I thought they really didn't.
I haven't watched it.
They had like AOC on and they liked AOC, but they didn't like Bernie Sanders. And they had like this cognitive dissonance about like, why are you supporting him? And she's like, what do you mean? Like, we're the same.
Yeah.
That's a whole other topic.
Okay.
Still, it's The View. The whole point of that show, as I understand it, is to have conversations and debate stuff and to figure things out. It's just conversation, just like Joe Rogan's podcast. They've had a gajillion of these. They talk about everything. And she had a understanding or a concept of what the Holocaust was about.
Also, it's not like a crazy thing to say. Like, it's not like she said the Holocaust didn't affect Jews or something. Then it would be like, excuse me.
Yeah.
I didn't feel offended. I was just like, oh, well, that's incorrect. But that's it.
Yeah, but if you saw the news headlines, you'd be forgiven for thinking it was because she was lambasted everywhere.
I know.
To the point where I'm going, is there something else going on here? Like, I read what she said.
Yeah.
Even if she argued it like a lot, it's still, it's an understanding that she had that is wrong. It wasn't malicious intent.
No.
Again, she got suspended for 2 weeks, which is kind of canceling,
really?
like briefly, right? She got suspended from a show that debates stuff from being wrong in a debate.
Where so many people say so many stupid things. Yeah, I mean,
Meghan McCain has said so much stupid shit on
you're
there.
allowed to make mistakes and you're allowed to be wrong. Yeah.
That's something I guess maybe we can speak to more. We're Jewish, family.
Yeah, we've had entire branches of our family tree
massacred,
cut off. Yeah, basically because of that.
Yeah.
I found like, okay, yeah, I mean, I can kind of understand what she meant by what she said. I get it. It's like, okay, that is incorrect, but it's not like.
Yeah, a little bit of empathy helps you understand where she was coming from.
I don't even find it really that offensive to begin with. If she like doubled down, maybe I'd be like, all right, Whoopi, but she apologized right away.
Yeah.
She clearly has no malicious intent. I don't feel.
Yeah.
But there is a difference with an apology and like a recognition of faults. Like that makes a difference. Like that we didn't see that at all with J.K. Rowling, which is an issue.
Yeah, that's something that bothers me with the J.K. Rowling thing. Whether or not she might not have had malicious intent, but she thinks she's so right, and she thinks she's fighting the good fight. You know?
Yeah, that's the problem.
She thinks
she's allowed to say what she thinks, no matter what.
Yeah. So she hasn't recognized that her comments have hurt people.
Yeah.
At the very least, whether or not you think you're right or wrong, recognizing that the way you said something, and I think she put some tweets up that were pretty snarky.
Yeah.
If you recall, like at one point she was criticizing a news headline about people who menstruate or something.
Yeah. Well, I think we talked about this in our intention versus action episode. Yeah.
Well, I'll just say it again quickly. But she said it was,
yeah.
Well, I think there's a name for them again. I think it's Wimben or Wumban. She was making a sarcastic remark.
Yeah.
That's a little insensitive, I guess.
It's a lot. It's pretty insensitive to make that kind of joke when yeah.
Now, there is a debate out there on how we're going, like language has been built a certain way in our culture. If we're going to make changes to that, that's a conversation to have. That's a discussion to have, a debate to have. And what are the implications of that? I do believe we should be able to have that conversation without everybody immediately getting angry, as long as we triggered, and we recognize everybody's humanity and rights.
Yeah.
I do believe we should be able to have that conversation, aside from the issue with J.K. Rowling. I mean, at the end of it, just makes me sad too, right? Yeah. This is a hero to so many people, and
I know
they have a cognitive dissonance about that now. Like, I think we also talked about Roald Dahl at the time.
Yeah, we did.
That came up as well, because he, wonderful author.
Like my two favorite children's authors.
Yeah, and Roald Dahl, turns out he actually is an anti-Semite.
Yeah.
And I know that because he said, I'm an anti-Semite.
Oh, well, at least he's honest.
Yeah. I still enjoy his work. I don't know what to say. Yeah. I mean, I would enjoy his work. I haven't read any of them recently. I have a question. Is there anyone who has been canceled that you feel should have been?
Should have been? Yeah, of course.
Or anybody, let me ask you two questions. Is there anybody who is canceled that you were like, yeah, good? Yeah. And is there anybody who wasn't or isn't that you think should be?
Okay. First part of the question, yes, of course. So, I mean, we named some of them. Cosby, like Bill Cosby, did extremely messed up things. He should have been canceled a long time ago.
Kevin Spacey, maybe?
I don't know enough about the Kevin Spacey, but I trust your...
He definitely...
I don't really know. I didn't really read very much about that or anything. So I don't know, but probably it sounds...
Sexual misconduct to a pretty heavy degree.
Right. That sounds canceled.
Like to a point of maybe harassment or attempted other stuff.
I mean, the ones I definitely like 100%, like
Harvey Weinstein,
Bill Cosby. There's some others that I'm not thinking of right now, but people who should be canceled who haven't been. Oh, and I mean, Trump, he was canceled in a way with like being taken off of Twitter. And
I guess sort of. Honestly, that's an example of someone who should be, I don't know.
He should be more canceled.
Here's the weird thing. This guy likely did rape people as well and all this stuff.
Yeah,
and
he should have been canceled. Yes.
And yet he got to be president.
That's insanity.
This speaks to the inconsistency. Like, that's another thing. People get so upset about certain people, but then let other things slide for whatever reason. Yeah. And that bothers me on a number of levels too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of someone I think should get canceled who hasn't been.
Woody Allen. What do you think about people trying to cancel him?
Yeah. I mean, he's done some pretty messed up things. I think he's pretty cancelable.
What did he do, Aya?
I don't want to say it. I don't remember all the specifics, but he's got some fucked up stuff.
Like what?
Putting me on the spot here.
I'm doing that for a reason, actually.
Are you? Because you think that I don't know what he did. Other than like the kid that they adopted that he then ended up like marrying. That was a long time ago.
I know this stuff pretty in depth because I looked into it because I used to have a view on things. I even made a joke about it in my very first film that I made, Death by Hot Wings. I think I had a joke in there that was like, somebody said they wanted to eat a burger or something. He's like, you love what you love or something. I can't remember what the exact line was. He's like, that's what Woody Allen said after he fucked his stepdaughter.
Right.
Then I looked into it more and that's not actually what happened.
Okay.
When I looked into these things legally and otherwise.
Okay. So that, again, that's getting into the nuance of it.
We won't go into the nuance of it.
Maybe I'll accept that I don't know enough about the situation to know whether I can, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's other things. He was accused of molesting his child. And
well, if he's accused of it, like he probably did it. I don't know. No?
I've come to understand that it's very unlikely that he did that.
But why? Okay.
You have to really, when you research it and you understand.
Why would someone lie about that? I know. Okay. I know people.
Well, his estranged Mia Farrow was very upset about him sleeping with her adopted daughter.
Understandably. That's messed up.
Of course, understandably.
At the very least, he's a fucked up human being.
Well, yes and yes, in some ways. But again, there's so much nuance to this when you look into the story.
Okay. I'll admit that I don't know enough.
All I do is urge people to really read more into, he never got charged for a reason. Repeated, they looked into it, determined that the kid seems to have been coached by his mother way back when. That was the determination they made, that the kid was coached, and a whole bunch of stuff. Again, we're getting into the specifics. I said it, it's my fault. I brought it up. But the reason I see it as a cancel culture that is coming in full swing, it's not just something that's always been around, is because, the Me Too movement, all this stuff kind of brought cancel culture back kind of in force, or whatever you want to call it culture, any of it. It brought up this idea of just like canceling people on allegations and on things that people have said. Even though, of course, I think we should always listen to people when they, if a woman says something that a man did something, listen to her. Right? I don't know if you should automatically believe everything, but you should definitely listen and take it seriously, of course. But it has led to, even now I feel like, what am I saying? I don't know. Am I going down a rabbit hole? I don't know what I've done.
I thought of someone else that I think should be canceled who hasn't been. Do you want me to take you out of your misery?
Am I going to get me now for saying all this
right now? Well, I thought of someone. I think, it's not someone so much as many people, but all those priests in the Catholic Church should have been canceled. Look, the Catholic Church.
Every priest?
All the shitty priests, which there were many
priests.
of.
Yeah, well, of course.
All those priests but there's so many. There's so many. And the Catholic Church should get canceled. That's who should get canceled.
The whole church. The whole Catholic Church.
The whole church. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Time to cancel you. I'm sorry. I know the newest pope is better than the others, but still, like,
he did some things too, apparently.
He did some things too.
Kind of
He's
covered
still
up
not
some
apologizing for. They've all covered up some stuff for the most part. Most of them have. Okay. I'm sure there's a few good ones in there, but like, let's just say overall, sorry, the class that I just had today also.
Any priests listening, we're very sorry.
I'm not sorry.
But not sorry.
I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. Maybe you shouldn't like do the fucked up things that you did or be complicit.
You really did save me. Thank you, Aya.
Yeah, no problem. Why? Because I'm saying something worse. Yeah.
I want to urge other people to. I started something and I didn't finish. So just anybody else gets a chance. You can do your research and really dive into what happened.
Do your own research.
God, I sound like everyone says that, right? Do your research. They'll say that after they say the wrong thing. I get that. People will be like, vaccines don't work. Just do some research and you'll see. So I get that I sound that way. When I say do some research, just look up anything about, just look up more about Woody Allen, start to see.
Okay, that's fair.
Again, I'm not a huge fan of his work. I like some of his movies. He's fine. I don't love him.
Oh, really? I would love for him not to be a total creep. I just, from what I've heard, but maybe I've heard things secondhand. Like I haven't done my own research.
He might be a creep, but that's different.
It's enough.
It's enough for me.
It's enough, yeah.
Cancel that dude. Fuck him.
Yeah. How many old gross creeps do we need?
Especially Jewish ones giving us bad names, right?
Yeah, like come on, man. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't mean. I'm sorry to Catholics listening. It's not against your beliefs. It's against the system.
No, it's not. We know what you meant.
In place that has sheltered many pedophiles over so much time.
Absolutely no malicious intent.
No malicious intent.
On your.
I'm just saying we should fix the problem.
I agree. No, of course. I'm making light. Then you started saying things that were serious, and now. I don't know what to do.
Okay. No.
Do you think Hitler should have been canceled, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, obviously, Josh. Jesus. Okay.
What do you mean, obviously? I think that guy had some.
Yeah, let's not just talk.
No, that guy had some. He had a few points,
You're such a dick, Josh. Okay. Yeah, don't even make that joke. I don't even like it.
I can't even make these jokes. I mean, I can to some people, but.
Triggering me. I thought this was a safe space. Okay, let's get back to.
Okay, what is a safe space?
Let's define safe space, which I've had open here for like an hour now.
I like it. We're keeping everybody on edge.
Yeah. So according to Merriam-Webster, a safe space is a place, as on a college campus, intended to be free of bias, conflict, criticism, or potentially threatening actions, ideas, or conversations. So
is campus supposed to be a safe space?
Well, a place, so as on a college campus was an example in brackets. So it's just a place intended to be free of bias, conflict, criticism, or potentially threatening actions, ideas, or conversations.
So it's a bubble for someone.
A bubble. Yeah, a little bubble.
Well,
like with cushions everywhere, so you don't get any sharp edges of people's ideas.
I understand that some people feel easily, as we said, triggered, right? Like what
I'd like to bring up a book right now because I feel like you're going to go this way.
Please.
So there's a book called The Coddling of the American Mind.
Okay.
By Jonathan Haidt, who I'm pretty sure I've mentioned before on this podcast, and Greg Lukianoff. I didn't write his whole name there, but yeah. And they talk about cancel culture, call out culture as an extension of the safetyism on college campuses. And they also say that, well, it's kind of in the title, The Coddling of the American Mind. The idea is that, and I haven't read this, I've just heard Jonathan Haidt talk about it, and I've read some summaries. So, I mean, read it for yourself if you want their full argument. But their argument is that preventing people from being exposed to these ideas is actually overall harmful for people's growing minds. So I don't know if that would help you get to your point, because I feel like you were about to say something similar to that.
I don't know, probably. I feel like I'm ranting a lot this episode.
Do you? I think we're both ranting. I
Maybe
just said that
we
should get rid of the Catholic Church. We should cancel them.
Maybe it's because I felt like you were saying that just to help me feel better.
I was not. No, let me be clear. I was not saying that to make you feel better, Josh. Don't.
But Josh, I'm genuinely against pedophiles. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I hate pedophile. What's the problem? I don't think I'm saying anything wrong there.
Do you think if someone comes up to start espouse pedophilia and how great pedophilia is, would you say that they deserve any sort of platform?
I mean, no, but I also I do think it's important for us to understand what's going on so we can deal with pedophiles in society properly. There's probably a lot of undercover pedophiles who don't do anything.
I saw the gears in your head just cranking.
It's hard
figuring out the way. Yeah. Again, that's the whole thing. We probably pride ourselves on really working to figure out the best way to say things often, not always, or at least that we can if we try. That should go to show how easy it is for most people or many people not to. And to not.
Why are you? I feel like you're suggesting we're smart. Let's not say that.
Okay, I don't mean to say that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we are great. What I meant to say is that we make it a point, given what we do, maybe even this podcast, to actually, we have a certain education level where you're literally a professor. I'm just saying it's something that is prided.
I'm a Spanish professor, not a cancel culture professor.
Whatever. You're good at languages. You're good at. Okay, I'm trying to talk you up here.
I know. I thank you. I just don't want people to have high expectations.
I'm just saying that it's easy for people to say things in the wrong way.
Of course.
And it is important to figure out what they meant, especially when it's a freaking minefield right now. It is. Just because something is hard to say, some people think because they're struggling to say it, they must know they're saying something wrong. Not necessarily.
Right.
The problem is there's so many people saying dumb shit that when you want to get into the nuance of a topic, people assume that you think the dumb shit first until you can prove to them that you don't.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when you ask me that question, my instinct would be to say, no, fuck them. We shouldn't be giving any pedophiles any platform. But I also remembered what I had just said, last episode about it's important to give people platforms so that we can all discuss ideas and we can be empathetic with other people. So I had to juggle those opposing feelings, those opposing views of whether or not.
So you're saying that they deserve it?
No.
They not deserve it, but you would give someone who, maybe not, I'm not saying a pedophile, but someone who espouses beliefs that it's, I don't know, let's say they come up and they say, look, some people are attracted to men, some people are attracted to women, some people are attracted to animals, and some people are attracted to kids. And, people should be allowed to follow what
that's so uncomfortable and cringy. No, I would not. Okay.
And they should be allowed, whether or not they say, no, it's not legal, so I don't do it. It's not like you're inviting a pedophile up here.
Oh my God.
I believe this thing. And therefore, I think we should discuss this. And I have a whole following of people that agree with me.
I'm sure you fucking do, man. Okay. Okay. All right. So no,
I have to choose
yeah, I know. To be clear, no, I don't think, because I don't think there's enough to be learned from that other than just there are fucked up people around.
And I'm not just talking about the nuance of people having attraction. I'm talking about people who believe it should be allowed. You should be allowed.
Yeah, that's super messed up. No, they shouldn't have a platform. You know what? Actually, you know what I would do?
You should deplatform them.
You know what? We should platform them. You guys are welcome. Put them in this hut outside and just once all the pedophiles are in there, just pull a.
You're saying we light them on fire, Aya? So I thought you were going to say, oh, you want to give them a platform? Here's a platform with a bunch of sharks surrounding them.
Oh, that's good too. That
like a
seems
literal platform.
That seems like too showy.
And the sharks will have lasers.
That seems excessive. I think I like my little minimalist hut idea. I actually got that from Game of Thrones from, you know, when okay, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this yet, but like when she burns all the Khals in like a, they're like being dicks and they're assholes, and she burns them all in a hut. They should do that to pedophiles.
Oh my God. Look, when people like someone, they're more likely to want to understand them, try to empathize with them. I like Louis C.K., so I really wanted to try to understand him, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm being honest. I'm saying it right here.
Yeah.
I do that with people I don't even love sometimes. Like I said, Woody Allen, it's not like I was trying to.
You do that with everyone. Let's be honest.
I do.
You're a very empathetic person. It's pretty annoying.
So just let anybody out there who disagrees with me on anything know that I'm going to do that for you too. I'll try to, you know, so if you disagree with me now.
This is why everybody messages you. Nobody messages me. Like,
I don't know.
I love the podcast. It's like people we both know, but they'll be like, hey, Josh, I just wanted to say something. It's like, hey, what am I?
I don't know, not anymore. Now they're going to think that I defend pedophiles or something. I don't know. They're going to think I...
what do you mean think?
Pro-Nazis and pedophiles.
Are you suggesting that that's not what you're doing here?
Okay. I was going to make a terrible joke.
Make the joke. Do it.
No.
Do it.
No, it's okay.
Just make the joke for me.
That's okay. Never mind. Well, maybe I've made this joke. No, I'll make a different terrible joke.
Ugh.
Say what you will about pedophiles, but at least they drive slowly past schools.
Wait, have you told on the podcast your pedophile story?
I might have said that one. What story? By the way, it's possible we're triggering somebody out there. So speaking of triggering again.
That's true. Yeah.
We're making jokes and stuff. We're assuming you understand how we talk and what we talk about on this podcast.
Do you understand what I'm doing right now?
What are you doing right now?
I'm playing the piano.
I thought you were touching kids.
No. Shut up, George.
I couldn't tell what you were doing with your fingers.
No, I was referring to.
I thought you were trying to mime.
Your piano teacher.
Yes, I have a piano teacher who was arrested on multiple 18 sex charges against children. He was my music teacher from age 4 to 16. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Never did anything to me.
Yeah.
Thankfully. Yeah, I've said on the podcast before, why not? What was wrong with me?
Oh, you did make that joke already?
I made that joke, right?
That's one of my favorite Josh jokes. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why, because it's so dark. It's just so.
I just felt a little left out. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, you start wondering why not. Like he always said I was one of his favorite students, and like, well, prove it. This episode has gone off the rails. That's the idea. We're talking about cancel culture. I don't know what else to say. Like,
well, we talked a bit about safe spaces.
By the way, we talked about platform, but we didn't exactly describe. Well, we didn't talk about the word deplatforming or no platforming.
I think we did. Oh, okay.
We mentioned it, but we talked about taking, but that's what that is, right? Deplatforming is not giving somebody the platform or a platform because we find their ideas or views too dangerous. Now, you said you might still give somebody, you know, all jokes aside, with egregious.
It depends. It depends on a lot of stuff.
So what is the line for you?
Well, I think it depends on whether, like, would bringing on that person contribute to
societal harm?
Well, would it contribute to potential changes in opinion in a good way? In a good way.
Wait a second.
Okay, wait. Let me rephrase that. Yeah, would it contribute to societal harm? Is there harm in having that person up? That's a better way of.
But it's very vague to say that, right? How do you quantify societal harm? Like,
yeah,
for example,
it's hard.
I can imagine you saying, "Yeah, let's have this guy with Nazi-ish views coming up," but then being like,
"Why would I say that?" I'm
not saying that. I can imagine I can imagine you going, "Well, let's have him talk and we'll debate him." But then somebody who comes up and says, "I don't believe in the vaccine," you'd be like, "Don't bring that guy up. That's going to cause harm." Like, it's interesting where the consistency.
But I don't think that an
anti-vaxxer.
I don't think that a person with Nazi views should be given a platform either.
Okay, so you don't.
I don't.
You don't think that they should be? Sorry, let me say white supremacist, something Nazi-ish.
Well, even that, like, I know I was saying in an ideal world, like, I feel like I've changed my opinion since last episode. Like, I think ideally they don't have an opinion because they don't get a platform. Like, it's not like they're espousing anything new unless they already had a following and we're trying to engage with that following somehow by being like, this is messed up. The guy you're following is an idiot, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know anymore, Josh. What?
Well, you're a real snowflake for saying that.
For saying what?
You're a real cornflake for saying that.
That I don't want to hear.
You don't want to hear Nazis speak.
From a Nazi?
Yeah.
Fuck you. fuck them. I mean, there's enough. So the other argument against having people like that is like, there's so many people worthy of giving a platform like that too.
So you're saying we might as well give it to someone else?
Just give it to someone whose ideas are worthwhile.
So wait, only people we agree with, you're saying?
No, not people we only agree with, but people with worthwhile ideas. Like they would have to.
But isn't that mean that to you?
Well, not if.
Think about what you just said there.
I think if
no, not people
just...
we agree with, people who have worthwhile ideas. You're only going to think they're worthwhile ideas if you agree with them, Aya.
That's not true. I think that there are people I disagree with whose ideas are still important, either because enough people believe in them that we should be at least listening to them, or...
Would you give J.K. Rowling a platform to talk about these views? I think you're afraid that the answer is yes.
I'm not afraid that the answer is yes. I'm just... To be honest, I feel like I don't want to offend anybody by saying yes.
That's what I meant.
I do think that, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I think I know that I still...
But both of us like J.K. Rowling so much. I
still admire her so much. It's so upsetting that she's like that. So we
want to believe.
And I also, like, I was reading her letter looking for...
That's what I'm saying.
Like, for her to save herself from what she... So I wanted to be able to say, no, actually in her letter, like, she explains it like this, and she's not, like, it's just the way that they took it out of... No, I don't think that's the case. I think she really has some misguided views that are understandably hurtful to a lot of people, and that she should... I think she should realize that she
is hurting people, that
espousing her opinion is not more important than... Yeah.
But you would still have her...
I don't know. It depends on what it would be about. If it were a platform about that,
to debate her views. Yeah, to have her come up and debate it. You don't think we should have that debate?
Well,
you think it would be dangerous for society?
Actually, no, I think that would be good. I think that could be good. Like if she had a debate and we had another person on who really knew transgender stuff well and could stand up for that point of view very well, that would actually be really interesting. I would be curious to see that, because then we could see, like, what are her views really? And is she open to understanding the situation better? I would be curious to see that. Now I kind of want to see that.
And do you believe that J.K. Rowling is 100% wrong?
No, there is some nuance in the situation. Yeah. So, for example, even at like the
By the way, thank you for answering just that in that way. Whatever those beliefs are, that to me is a question. Just letting you know that I'm afraid to answer with nuance, right? Because people are going to either when you don't explain what those pieces are, people automatically assume the worst sometimes,
right?
They assume the worst version of that, if they really have a problem with that person. Like, why not 100%? What's the thing? What's the thing?
Yeah, what's the thing? Yeah. Well, for example, so like, I've said a million times, I volunteered at the women's shelter in London, and they're very, like, I'd say they're very progressive, very, like they have lots of safe spaces. Safe spaces is used quite a bit. Everybody uses their pronouns. It's very much in like that liberal sphere. And one thing that hasn't happened yet is they can't, like, it's only available, the services are only available to female identified. Although I guess that's a little bit more
identified. They've changed that terminology probably,
right? Female identified. Yeah. I have to look up what the actual thing is, but
okay. Depending on what it is.
So like basically someone who's male identified can't get services at
You mentioned this before, by the way.
And I mentioned this, and it's an issue of safety, and it's an issue of safety for the women there. And it's kind of a thorny issue because there are men suffering these things. And I mean, there is some, you have to get into the thorns a bit to figure out who can get the services or not, but
what does it mean to be the identified aspect, right? Like,
right, exactly. Like,
if it's somebody who's biologically male identifying as female, then they can or can't. Like, I don't know what the answers to those things are.
I have to look up the specifics right now, but I know that there is even that, like, there has been a lot of difficulty around that because you have to think of everyone, and the idea of having a space that is like, a lot of these people, this is a what's that called? Like not high security, but it's kind of high security. Like, you have to go through 2 separate doors. You have to identify yourself before you enter the building.
Yeah.
There's all these cameras. Like, it's very much.
That's a true safe space.
Yeah. Because abusers come and, people claim that they're police. All this stuff happens. That's an actual safe space. It's a physically safe space. Yeah. So there are a lot of complications. And I know that that's where J.K. Rowling is coming from. Rowling. I always say her name wrong.
I guess whichever.
I'm pretty sure. So I shouldn't say I know that, but I've read a lot of her stuff, and she comes from that place.
Well, that is what she's talking about. Yeah. She seems to be coming from a place of protecting women's spaces.
Yeah.
And her argument, I think, was that, what you are biologically, that's she's talking about safe spaces for biological.
Yeah, I know. There's so many things wrong with her argument, but I know where her intention is coming from. And there is some difficulty around that issue that isn't like so easily solved. So
we haven't yet figured, like we said, the semantics of things, the changing our society is set up in a certain way. It's very set up based on male, female, gender, sex.
Yeah, exactly.
Like sports to bathrooms.
Yeah.
It's very set up a certain way. And that is obviously a conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it has to be had in a certain way, because you can, right now, we just should recognize again, there's increased risk and violence towards trans people. These debates aren't happening in a bubble. They're not happening in a safe space, in a sense.
No.
What people say and do, like, it has consequences for the trans community.
Yeah.
And their rights and how they're treated by others. So I understand that any arguments that we made should be made with sensitivity, or whatever they are, and with respect to the other person's humanity. I do get a sense that she didn't do a very good job at that.
She didn't.
And she has not apologized for that
it's
either.
It's very disappointing.
And that's disappointing, because you'd think she would be better. Just like I thought Louis C.K. would be better.
Yeah.
Given I thought he was more self-aware than to...
I'm not as surprised about Louis C.K. I'm more surprised about,
I am actually. I mean, I am in a sense that Louis C.K.'s whole shtick is he says all these horrible things and makes all this humor because deep down you think he's better than that. That's why it's funny. You think he's actually... You know what I mean? His whole thing is he comes off like a bad guy, but underneath it all, he's actually like a regular good guy. And that really put a dent in that persona.
It sure did. Yeah.
I thought of somebody, I just want to say, I thought of somebody who...
do you have anyone that you...
should cancel?
Whatever the questions that you asked me, same to you. Ditto.
Anyone I think who should have been, that has been, like, there's the rapists and whatnot.
Yeah.
For sure. Mel Gibson's always an interesting one to me.
Oh, fuck that guy. Yeah, he should be canceled a million times.
He is, but I just see it almost like I don't know why. Maybe it's because
Josh, what do you...
There are people who have kind of bad views this way, and I have a lot of problems with him, and I definitely have a problem with Mel Gibson for these views and the things he says, and I don't even know if he has stopped thinking some of this.
I'm sure he hasn't.
He just comes off as like...
No, I'm not sure. I shouldn't say.
I don't know. For some reason I dissociate that from him as an actor. Like I just am like, okay, fuck that guy. I don't want to be anywhere near him. But if he wants to act in a movie, I can still enjoy it. And he's just like an angry guy who believes stupid shit about globalists and whatnot. But that aside, if he gets canceled, fine. But I realized I want to cancel Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity.
Of course,
and a lot of these people from Fox News.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
The people who actually have a platform on supposed news, and Fox News, for the record, has real news people there.
Yeah.
There were good ones. I remember Shep Smith.
Sprinkle them in so they can be like, look at these real people.
Actually, it's supposed to be mainly a news station, but obviously what gets them the most traffic? These other guys, and they say it's on a news station, and they get away with people thinking that that's news. It's like, you want to listen to news, go listen to their news. But they're not. They're listening to their opinion talking head people. That's why I think in Canada, Fox News is listed not as news, but as like an entertainment channel or something.
Nice.
So those people I have a real issue with. And then you brought up Alex Jones earlier, like that dude.
I was just saying that Joe Rogan has had him on multiple times, and that guy should be that guy should be canceled. Is he not?
Well, this is an interesting thing. On one hand, I was gonna say, fucking cancel this guy. He's the guy who said that the people were making up the Columbine or Sandy Hook school shootings. Like, he literally blamed the parents and kids. By the way, they won a suit against him.
Good.
Thank God.
Yeah, good. I mean, it's not enough. Like, he should be.
No, I know I can't tell if it's mental illness, a mixture of that, or if he's also just maliciously like using that to his advantage to get, I don't know. It's bad all around. But having him on Joe, again, I can't put it this way, whether or not we think these people should have a platform, I can't fault people for wanting to bring them on to debate them, because I get it. Even if you think you shouldn't give them a platform, I'm not going to be angry at somebody for giving them the platform if they're debating against them, if that makes sense. We can talk about the larger kind of, I don't think you should do that, but I'm not like, cancel this guy because he gave that guy a platform.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that.
Give us the last thought.
Me?
Before we end this thing on cancel culture. Anything we didn't talk about with cancel culture and censorship and safe spaces? And
well, I'd like to say that cancel culture is not a new thing. And I think I got this from something I read. It's not new. It's really a modern day version of what did we used to have? Like excommunication. I guess they still have that in some people. In some places, or just shaming people, right? But now that society is so much bigger,
mob shaming, Game of Thrones, shame Shame.
Yeah.
Shame.
I mean, that's not a great example.
What do you mean? They were like trying to cancel her, right?
No, she was just being forced through this. Oh, not everything comes back to Game of Thrones, okay, Josh? Yeah, I remember that one episode where I brought everything back to Game of Thrones and talked about Daenerys.
Yeah, that's why I do it, by the way.
Yeah, Khaleesi or whatever, as like, oh, she's such a good leader.
Yeah, so obviously there's nuance to that happens later that we won't spoil.
Yeah, I didn't know. I'll leave on the note of, should Khaleesi be canceled? No, doesn't really make sense.
That's a no you
but some people
on?
name their kid that apparently before like the last episodes came out, and it's like, you named your kid a little too soon.
I still think it's a nice name. I don't know what to say.
It's a nice name.
We talked about the court of public opinion versus legal free speech or free expression. What do you think of when people say, this is my First Amendment, again, we're talking about America here a little bit, like, this is my First Amendment right to free speech, and they're trying to cancel me? What is your response to that? You know, when people have said something that they shouldn't have and they get fired?
Well, I think it's like anything where people think that their rights are more important than their responsibilities. Like, you want to live in a society, you have to deal with the fact that your actions have consequences on other people, your actions, your words, and your free speech doesn't override someone else's need to feel safe or to feel.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. I just had a talk with someone about this yesterday. For some reason, especially in America, people have this understanding that like freedom is like holy.
Hey, apparently they do in Canada too with these idiot truckers.
Oh, isn't the trucker convoy, and they're like swastikas in that?
Yeah, there were some things that like they act like they're persecuted. So some of them were wearing like the star.
Oh, like the Jewish
like
star.
The yellow star that Jews had to wear during
the Holocaust.
The Holocaust, as if to say like, but it says like anti-vax or like no vax, as like, oh, we're being persecuted the same way, like as if their choice to not become vaccinated is the same as.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way incorrectly.
They want to feel persecuted so badly. Like, please go somewhere where you actually don't have freedom and see what that actually is like. Like, how lucky are we?
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's all relative.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying. Like, we have freedom here relatively speaking, but nobody has perfect freedom.
No.
And we should recognize that you're not perfectly free. And you should never expect to be perfectly free in everything you do.
No.
Because your freedom should only extend as far as somebody else's safety begins.
That's kind
of what you were saying. It's what we've said this to each other.
Yeah, you said it very nicely.
That kind of free speech talk. Look, we spent this episode kind of not saying this stuff because it was assumed between us. Like, yeah, you and I both understand that just because you have the right to free speech doesn't mean that, you know, you have this legal protection, doesn't mean there aren't consequences to what you say and do. And both of us understand that, yeah, there should be consequences to what you say and do in many cases. We didn't kind of say that off the start because it was kind of assumed for us. But for anyone who doesn't know that,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Understand that. We're jumping off, you know, with nuance from that.
Yes, we're assuming that everyone's at that spot and then we're,
exactly
moving from there.
Yeah. So when other people are like, this is my freedom and they're taking away my freedom because I can't say this and I can't do this, it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. You can't pretend there isn't a court of public opinion. You know, you can't pretend that there are no consequences to what you say and do. You might not like that people respond in a certain way. And I personally don't like when people respond without nuance. And I think more education and empathy can help with that.
But sometimes there's no nuance, like that guy dressing up with or those people dressing with the example we just used.
What do you mean? They think that's so nuanced. Don't you understand? We're using this reference to genocide that happened to help explain our feelings on this matter.
Right. Oh, I didn't see it that way. I'm sorry. Now I understand better. Thank you, Josh.
So nuanced.
So nuanced. Yeah, they're so smart. Okay.
Anyway, you want to take us out of here, Aya?
Let's take us out. This has been another episode of Adulthood Friends. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe wherever you're listening, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anywhere.
Any platform,
assuming we still have one.
Assuming we do. Don't deplatform us.
And we're also on Facebook, and we have a Facebook page that Josh keeps updated very well. So if you want to find out when new things are coming.
Mediocrely.
You do a great job, Josh. Don't be modest, okay? False modesty doesn't suit you.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was so mean. Yeah, that's okay. You can be modest. Yes. Josh is being modest. It's like a really great webpage.
No, I just think obviously it's there. Hopefully you guys can engage with us on there, but you know, we don't have a team of people. It's just us.
Oh no, it's literally just Josh putting stuff up. Like, hey guys, stay tuned.
I spend a lot of time trying to write things exactly the right way I don't know if it's any good reason, but I do.
Well, it's appreciated by someone probably.
Oh, I know why. So that I don't say things in the wrong way and get canceled.
Oh, Oh. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh. Just like you used to get grounded. These days you could get canceled for saying the wrong thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's where it goes back. The fact that I got injustice is like a huge.
I like that.
No, you did. You just triggered me right now. You just triggered me with this injustice talk. Because when I was a kid, yeah, there was so much injustice I faced from my mom and stuff.
I think you fear it.
I would get punished for things I didn't even do, or she didn't understand, and there was no nuance. And now I see that happening.
And you weren't allowed to explain yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that happening with, you're not being allowed to. Yeah. You know, I always, when we're wrapping up an episode, I always am afraid that we like didn't say something.
Well, I'm sure there are lots of things we didn't say.
Yeah, that like we're like, oh my God, this huge thing we should have talked about. But in this case, of this episode, I think I'm worried about everything we did say.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, let's just use the Joe Rogan defense. We're just people talking. Nobody should be listening to us.
Yeah, see, we really can empathize with the Joe Rogan defense right now, right?
No, nobody's accusing us of anything yet, but yeah,
we're just dumb pieces of shit.
We're just like dumb. Oh my God, no, I don't want to call either of us a dumb piece of shit.
I'm a dumb piece of shit. I is not. So everything she said, by the way, came from a place of real. She meant it. She meant it exactly the way she said it.
Oh my God. All right. Yeah, just throw me under the bus.
And if you found something egregious in the way she said it, good. You should. And she should be canceled. I, on the other hand, am a dumb piece of shit. And you shouldn't be listening to me anyway.
I mean, I'm not even on things enough to be canceled.
She's a professor. She's a Dr. Ishai. What am I? I make movies.
Oh my God.
Yeah, how do we end this thing?
With music.
3, 2, 1, cancel.
Good job.
Are we canceled?
Seems like it. I feel canceled. I feel different.
You feel different now?
Yeah, I feel like I lost an arm.
Kind of freeing being canceled.
It is a little freeing, feels good. Feels good to be canceled.